Okay, remember that they're changing my voice, and I'm just continuing right away, and they fume me, and as I continue to talk, because of the fumes and the covert drugging and technology, I tend to sound different, tend to sound maybe manic or bipolar. Okay, I've researched these things for a long time. That's not how it works, right? People don't just calm down and there's no mania at all, and then all of a sudden, you know, they start acting manic after they've been talking for like 4 or 5 minutes. That's consistent with being fumed or something like that, changing your mentality, and not bipolar disorder being triggered. It used to be called manic depressive, right? It's highs and lows, right? Mood swings. I'm not having mood swings, and I'm not having manic periods. I'm not bipolar 1 or bipolar 2 or any of that bullshit. Okay, so where were we? We're at point number 10. The Crips, some from LA, who were Brother Lynch fans with the Norteño. They're in some kind of group home that took them to the boardwalk. And my brother and I, my little brother, we would go, we hung out with them. And, I'm saying I'm a Crip from San Jose and da da da. And we're hanging out and we're going through there and we're getting numbers and so on and so forth. We had a competition over how many numbers we can get. This is one of the more significant stories of Santa Cruz. This is no way it's a coincidence. It's absolutely connected. All this stuff is government influenced and directed and interfered with stuff behind the scenes. Okay, the pattern is sound. The logic is sound. Maybe once or twice it's not, but it's safe to say it is, especially when we look at who's involved and how exactly they're behaving, how they're dressed, what have you. So I see this female I know that was my first girlfriend's best friend named Amy, and she lived in a nearby city, but it was still very unlikely for me to see her there. It's the only time I ever saw her there. Then I also see this female named Leanna from Live Oak. And when I was at Live Oak, I used to hang out with the people who were gangsters and their affiliates, because that's where the black guys would all hang. There's like one or two other black guys who were, one of them hung out with the football team. One was like, um, he just did his own thing or whatever. And so when I was there that day, and then she sees me with those Crips. So she sees me with Crips and their affiliates in this gang called Thug Life and their affiliates over there at Live Oak at the school we went to together. That's where I recognized her from. Okay, and then I told her right there. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it was the same. That must have been the same day. I walk right up to her and I say, I used to have a crush on you. And she was like, oh, cool. And I'm thinking, when I said that, I'm like, man, when I was walking up to her, I'm like, oh, here we go. I noticed her. I'm like, fuck that. I'm gonna approach her. First, she like walked by in a way, and then I kind of, I position myself to then come across her and boom, make my move, right? So I kind of maneuver like a martial artist, what have you, to some degree like a gangster, and boom, I make my move. I say, okay, hey, how you doing? Do you go to? And she was like shocked. She's like, huh, what's going on? And I get her to give me a number, which is a number. She basically has no phone in her house or something. I don't know why that is. And she gives me her friend's number. And when I call her friend later on, I call her like twice. First time she's like, huh, who's that? Playing stupid. Then she said, oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh yeah, she did say something about he might call. And then the next time, I think I might have called 3 times total. Eventually, because she was like, look, just call. I'm always there, just call. And then eventually she says, she said she doesn't want you to call here anymore. And this has PSYOP written all over it. Her name, Leanna. Anna. L is a sniveling Canaanite dog deity. He's a worm. Okay, and he's equivalent of Cronus and Saturn, right? Who eats his own children. He's a monster, and he's the father of Baal in the Baal mythology. And Baal's like the main enemy of God in the Bible. You look into uh, Kings, for example, and Elijah versus the prophets of Baal, and so on and so forth. Okay, so yeah, that had occurred there. So at the end, they kind of put extras on how many numbers they got. They probably did get more numbers than we did. When I start calling the numbers, all the numbers that day, but Leanna, were basically fake. We're sorry. The call that you completed can't be completed. Please check the number and dial again. Whatever that message was, right? Except for Leanna, and then that occurred. No way that's a coincidence. No way. I remember, I was like, I was faded or something. I don't know. I was thrown off a little bit, and I had said, to one of these females, I said, hey, these guys are gangsters. You don't want to get to know them, like on a fluke. Okay, and again, some of this stuff doesn't make me look good. Say, why would you do that, right? I mean, I had this desire to kind of be the voice of reason. I was the voice of reason, and sometimes it didn't work out masterfully, right? I guess I wanted to see how they respond. Okay, because I was kind of surprised that every time we were hollering at people, you feel me, that um they weren't acting like, hey, these are Crips, because everyone, they're blued up. I mean, look, take textbook Crip look, right? And we're approaching these people, and there's like, oh, maybe 8 of us or something, right? And they're not acting scared. They're just like, oh, hi, and maybe 1 or 2 of them, right? And they're like, oh, and before you know it, boom, the numbers come out. It's like they were trying to show me how it's done or something, right? So anyway, there's point number 13 is because the Crips who like Brother Lynch says point 10. I saw Amy point 11. I saw Leanna point 12. Point number 13, there was this rap group that my brother, hip hop group that my brother hung out with when he was going to San Jose State or something, called Triplex. So I was about maybe 15 or 16 or something. And so we went out to Santa Cruz together, and they were basically occultists and things of that nature, right? And dreads and what have you. One of them was a white guy, and he had a kung fu shirt on at the time. And he was talking about how he said he knows how I feel randomly. I didn't know what he's talking about. And he said that he hates when people ask him why he wears the kung fu shirt. He's like this thick guy, doesn't look like he does kung fu. He's like, because I do kung fu. And later on in life, without thinking of him, I wasn't trying to mimic him or be like him. I start wearing my kung fu shirts in public, okay, including to Santa Cruz. Okay, and I was at the beach one time, a different beach, and this white guy who looks like a clown, looks like this one cop who unnecessarily had me crawl on the ground on my stomach. Okay, he's like, crawl to my voice, even though there was no weapon, there was no reason to do it, right? He just acting like a gay oppressor. And there's one Hispanic female cop or something, she's looking sad, and there's other cop next to him looking mean or something. It was some cops were on some bitch ass fucking bitch with a badge type of bitch shit. There's no simple way to explain how bitch of a move it is, right? For whatever reason, occultists, quite often they're gay guys who are fucking crazy. They have no sense whatsoever, none, zip zilch, none. And they think by doing bitch shit like that, like they're the man. That's less than if a cop had said, sit on the curb. Like, he's a cop, so you're going to sit on the curb, right? He's like, yeah, that's what I thought. Man, what the fuck? It's a bitch move. Okay, using the state authority to try to act bad, especially over the top martial arts ever, when you and your whole network are hiding from his challenge tail tucked, is a bitch ass sissy. Less than smurf, punk ass, sniveling, tail tucked so much it's fucking like choking you and shit. It's fucking hindering, it's squeezing the life out of you. Type of bitch shit. Anyway, and you see, that's also what happens when you remember it. So there's the subconscious element, and there's the conscious remembering of it. And if you keep it real when you tell the story, I'd imagine it's worse than if you don't. Okay, in terms of getting you mad, and that's part of why people lie about these things sometimes. You just write that down because, to some degree, when they bullshit, it's not entirely their fault. Because it's painful to fucking say it a different way. But I'm going to tell the whole truth. Okay? And if you don't believe this stuff, then fuck you. If you don't believe that I'm the top martial artist, motherfuck you out your bitch ass. Because you're a bitch, if that's the case. Okay. Because I'm telling the truth about it. Swear to God on all my dead family members, on God, and everything. And I'm not even supposed to swear to God. Okay, so I'll take back that swear to God because I'm not supposed to swear to God. There's a long story why that is. Part of it's in the Bible. Okay, but I'll say that on everything, on my honor, everything. Okay. And in reality, not in some bitch-ass public presence. Hey, guys, I'm acknowledged by a bunch of racist white Jews and LGBT elitists, and I have my own movie. Hey, fuck all that shit. Okay. Won't you, when all men speak well of you, because that's how their ancestors spoke of the false prophets. So where was I here? And of course, I've proven a million times over with my legal and peaceful top martial arts challenge that they're still resorting to sabotaging me instead of accepting, mind you. And those who did accept, I beat them all. And by huge margins. While covertly drugged, and I even made a song in 2015. I said they couldn't beat me even though they were covertly drugging me. That was about halfway through 2015. The challenge began at the end of 2013. I had another challenge in 2012 in May, beginning of May. So keep in mind that in 1997 I was officially a grand champion in martial arts, right? And that's after a lot of these incidents occur. And around that time or so is when I meet the first person I meet off the internet was Ari. And she's part black, part Mongolian. She was cool. I wasn't attracted to her. Someone was just attracted to her. I wasn't attracted to her. And she really liked me, and that would eventually come back to haunt me when I started dating Patrice, because she knew Patrice. Santa Cruz in some ways is a very small town. Depending on what circles you move in, you might know like fucking everybody who's like you in Santa Cruz. But then there's tons of people that come from other places, including me, you know, and that's, you know, on a fluke, I met her on Patrice on the side of the road, and that's when we get to the next section. Okay, we're about to wrap up this video. The next section is about 19 years old to 20 years old, around then, and all these incidents that occur in Santa Cruz as they're trying to give me a hard time because of the PSYOP, and there's a lot of connections there. So when this series, this part of my story really starts getting extremely interesting, and I'm sure that you find this stuff interesting as it is. You might like my martial art trophy at 16 years old, where I beat, you know, people and became a grand champion. That's the title on the trophy. I've been a grand champion since I was 16 years old. I'm 42 years old now. That's 26 years ago. And then the other martial art challenges. So people who don't take me seriously are fucking crazy. Like, you wouldn't take a 6'4" black brain surgeon son who's the only one telling the truth about the things that matter most in life seriously. They're basically fucking crazy. Okay. Especially, I'm already a grand champion. I've been a grand champion for 26 years, and I've been Christ my whole life, you know. And that, you know, go to my place. If you don't believe that, go to my place. As proof I'm Christ, you'll see that I'm Christ, and other people are so far beneath me that they don't even tell the truth about what makes someone Christ, and the miracles are figurative and why, and so on and so forth. Okay, so that's where we end it here with the Ari part. Thank you. Okay, so really quickly, in regards to the pictures on the screen, they try to add sort of circus, Greek society, Lgbt kind of spirits and essence, and the essence of their culture and their gay kind of Greek societies to the picture and to the pictures on the screen. Okay, to some degree, some people are on some clown ass shit because the government basically tells them to not take on a martial arts stance to having a great body. There's a bunch of governing class guys. Usually what comes to mind is Jews and English, but it's white, Jew, LGBT, and they kind of aren't very serious governors. They aren't very serious royals. So they want the various indigenous groups to reduce their appeal and to come off like a clown and to have more, you know, flabby muscles, to be bigger. And they give them a lot of junk food in their commissary, to make a long story short. But I also have the top martial arts DNA. Now, they edited the pictures, so it has to be said, it has to be emphasized. Okay, I was dead serious my whole life. Okay, every once in a while, you know, I joke around, so on and so forth, but I'm a very serious guy. Being a Crip in the 90s, late 80s, what have you, very serious situation. You know, a lot of straight killers, the prison gangs in general, the prisons, the streets, a very, very serious situation. Again, some people are more serious than others, naturally. Some people are greater fighters, what have you. So that needs to be understood there. Okay, that's part of the story, is the timeline that you're given, right? Where a huge emphasis is placed on, you know, me when I'm 19, 20, and that's around 2000, 2001, okay, around 9/11. And then before that, there's the 80s and the 90s, where, you know, the Crip picture that's on the screen was almost certainly taken during that time period in prison. And during the 90s, you know, I was a grand champion martial artist. I could beat those guys in prison hand-to-hand combat with a sharp knife, one-on-one. It's not a good idea to take them on, but I could at 17 years old. And all through my life, even now, if they stop fuming and poison me. It's just not a good fucking idea, right? We don't just kill people for no reason. That's part of what sparring has shown. So I'm somebody who's more intensely vicious and focused than anyone who's ever lived naturally, and they fumed and poisoned me, and they sabotaged me just like they did to the various ethnic groups and ladies and gentlemen in the prison systems, right? In the women's prison and the men's prison. Okay. You need to understand that. It's not right for the colonial oppressor to sabotage people and say, hey, let's do a comparison of who has more money in a blood money unfair system, of who is in better shape, of who scores higher in the school system. It's fucking pathetic. Blacks, Hispanics, natives, these are some of the most, these are basically the most sabotaged people on the planet. Okay? You can't then turn around and say, hey guys, you see what I'm saying? I don't know if I'm gonna catch it. This dude's license plate says 1997 high. And I just made a video about the Taekwondo tournament I one in 97, and I made a video about, among other things, I talked about Serenos, and I saw one at the store today this morning, which is pretty rare.